Hi guys, I'm Matthias Bart from PinewoodCH, and well, you know, I come from Switzerland, and Switzerland is well known for its Swiss watches, cheese, chocolate, but also for its famous knives. We have two main knife brands in Switzerland, and today I'm gonna talk about one for one specific product, and this one is Wenger. Well, I know that some of you are not fan of Wengers. Personally, I am, and that for several reasons. I have a kind of a history with those blades. My second multi-blade knife, which was my first actual Swiss Army knife, was this one, and I have this one for years. It was a present from my parents for Easter. Back when I was something like 10 years old or 9 or 10 years old, and this is made by the firm Wenger, and it has been since probably my favorite knife. This one has been to Indonesia, to the desert, to the United States, and well, it has traveled a lot with me, and the reason why I love this one is for the excellent security lock, the huge blade, the huge saw, which is really excellent out in the woods, and of course all of the other features you can find on this excellent one. Now, another one I really like, but I don't dare to take it with me out in the wild, is my grandfather's Swiss Army knife, which he was issued during the Second World War. It's also an excellent knife, really old, and well, it has a lot of history, but now I know that Wenger makes this one in a newer version, so I'm really interested, and I'll probably take a look at that one in the future. Now, these are not the ones I want to talk about today. I'm gonna talk about another knife that I've received recently, two indeed, and these are the titanium line from Wenger. One is the titanium 2 and the other one is the titanium Ueli Steck Special. Well, as a survival instructor and sometimes mountaineer too, I couldn't avoid those two knives, and especially the Ueli Steck Special Edition. And first, I think it's important just to say a bit more about this Swiss guy that is called Ueli Steck. This guy is a professional mountaineer, and he has several records, like the north face of the Eiger, the north face of the Grand Jurassie, and the north face of the Matterhorn in speed climbing. And for the Eiger especially, it's really impressive. He has climbed this face in 2 hours and 47 minutes, which is really impressive. Now he has teamed up with Wenger to create a knife that is more designed to work for mountaineers, and this is why I'm gonna talk about that one, but also the Titanium 2, which is, in my opinion, a bit more designed for bushcrafters and survival enthusiasts. So let's talk about those two knives. I'm gonna show you right now the features of both. For those who don't know that, the Eiger, the north face of the Eiger, is a really demanding route, and this is where some of the best climbers of their time, Andreas Hinterstoissen and Tony Kurt, died while climbing that route. And as this is a real demanding route, I can say that those knives are built for really demanding climbers, in my opinion. Okay, so here are those two knives. In this one you have the Titanium 2, and here is the Ueli Steck Special Edition. Now I'm gonna begin with the first one, which is the titanium 2. So first thing you see when you unpack the box, you see that excellent sheath, and this sheath looks like those new technical jackets out of something like soft shell. So it's a tiny bit elastic, but really tough and strong. You have here on the back a belt loop, which is also tough, a hole here for a lanyard or something like that if you want to fix it to your belt or around your neck with that kind of lanyard. And now when you open it, you see you have 3 slots here that hold, coming with the pack, 2 screwdriver heads, Phillips one, and a flat head here, and the knife that is here. So, as the name tells it, the scales are made out of titanium. The blade is 50% wider than other Wenger's knives, as I've understood that, and you can see that it's really wide. The shape of the knife is a bit unusual. The blade is all rounded like that, but it has some really good points, and it has allowed those through bolt. How do you say? Bolt tighteners. I can find the word, but this also allows you to open single-handed the knife, and if you have gloves, you can open it way more easily. Now, the blade itself, it's a locking blade, so it's an excellent point, and it has a frame lock system here. You have that small depression, that small piece of metal here that allows you to unlock the blade, or you can press on the Swiss cross on the top to unlock it. Something I'd like to point out is that, as you can see, you have here a really strong step before you close it. This allows you not to close the knife on your fingers, and it's an excellent thing to have on a knife. Some knives do not have that that step, and well, it may be dangerous, and in the mountains or in the woods, this is probably the last place you want to open your fingers. Now here you see that kind of hex hole. This is for your bits, so that you can use it as a screwdriver. You have a lot of torque. It's really a good thing. So now here you have a small ring that allows you to use, well, not climbing grade or full climbing size carabiners, but something like this, and this allows you to fix it to your harness or to your backpack or anywhere you want, or add just a lanyard to hold the knife around your neck. Here you may not see that, but you have 2 arrows and arrows on the other. Here it's counterclockwise, here it's clockwise. This means that when you are tightening your equipment, especially for ice axes or stuff like that, you have to follow that for full security, so that you have no risk of, you know, just closing the blade if you press on that button. So it's only for security, but it's really well marked and indicated. You can also maybe see, I'm not sure, but here it's a small flat place on the back, on the spine of the blade, with a small sign here. Indeed, it's a huge flat head screwdriver that you use that way for, you know, the biggest chores or equipment you may find in your climbing gear or outdoor gear. And the other blade you have on that knife is a saw, and the saws you can find on this knife is really excellent. And when you have only such a small blade with you, you are really happy to have a saw. It's excellent for notching, for cutting small woods. I will try that in a few seconds. Last thing I want to say is that the blade uses a chisel grind. You may not be able to see that, but here you have the chisel side, and here only a small bevel, and you also have a serration on the first portion of the blade, and the tip is totally slick. So for climbers, having something that have teeth like that is excellent, because cutting rope is way more easy that way. And having also a non-serrated portion on the blade is great for pretty much any other chores. But something I want to point out is that when you look at the serrations from the chisel side, they are really thin and almost not there. You can barely see them unless you turn the knife. So it means that you have something that is serrated, but aggressively serrated, but not that much so that it may be a problem for those of you that do not like to have serrations on your blades. Usually I have a full-size fixed blade and I don't like serration on those, but on a smaller knife that is multitask knife like this one, it's an excellent thing to have. And for a climber to have a small knife like that, readily accessible, it's also an excellent thing. The weight of the knife, this one, the Titanium 2, weighs 80 grams, only the knife, and the pocket with the 2 bits weighs 40 grams, so it's a really light package to have with you, and it's an excellent little blade. I'm gonna test that one in a few seconds. Now just a word about the Ueli Steck Special Edition. So here you have a nice box, gift box, that could be, with a DVD about Ueli Steck, 3 climbs on north faces, as I've said before, Matterhorn, Grand Jurassé, and last one was the Eiger. And you have also a little booklet with explanations. Here the 2 tidbits for your hex knife, hex slot here, hole, the knife itself, and the same excellent quality pocket here. Now the main difference on that version, you can see here engraved the Ueli Steck logo. You have the same blade with the same features, same locking mechanism. Now the accessories that come with it are different. You have a metal saw here and a metal blade. I've used that just to test it out before, and other things that are really useful is the can opener. Actually, I did forget to bring the can. I've tried it on yesterday. I wanted to show you, but well, trust me, Wenger's can opener are really excellent, and well, you know you will be able to eat if you have that one with you and a food can. Now you have here a small screwdriver, which has the special thing they add on their model screwdrivers, like so. It's a screwdriver and a bottle opener, but when you press to screw something, you can see maybe the blade just pops inside. Sorry, here it just pops inside, and you can't close it by accident and close it on your fingers. Now here you see the difference. It just works perfectly well. And here you have then the full package you need for your climbing expeditions. A small backup knife if you want something to bring you outdoors, in the wild. And here this one is weighs 95 grams. In comparison, you can see those, the size is approximately the same, and they are really light, comfortable to use, and well, it's time to test a bit more those knives. Okay, now I'm gonna test the blade on several things you may have to use out in the wild. So for example, for food cutting, climbing grade rope, a webbing, and then I'm gonna test the specific other features of both knives. For this test I'm gonna use mainly and mostly the titanium 2 here, and I'm gonna do that just right now. So to see here, no problem, easy to cut, easy to use. The teeth are excellent to cut that, no problem at all. Cheese. This is really salty and dried cheese, so it breaks a bit, but here I'm so hungry. Works well, and I have no doubt it will be excellent on an apple too. Now, something I'd like to point out is that here, if you can see, the apple has been cut straight, and the problem often that I encounter with a chisel grind is that sometimes the chisel pushes the blade out of its line, and here the cut was straight, no problem. So I'm really impressed. Maybe is it the angle, I don't know. It works perfectly well for that purpose. Now, okay, I'm just gonna bring those ropes. Here you have, this is prusik rope, small size, tough and resistant. Here I will take a piece of rappelling rope, static rope, 11 millimeters if I remember well, and a piece of standard webbing just to try and see how it cuts. So let's go. Okay, so first I'm gonna test that on the prusik rope here, standard tough small rope. I'm gonna try not to cut too much at the time. Here, no problem. Now, if you don't have tension on it, it works perfectly well. And this is thanks to the serrations. I've tried sometime to cut climbing rope with a non-serrated rope blade, and this works not that well sometimes. So here, if you need in an emergency to cut a rope, this will probably do the trick. So let's try that right now. Here is the 11 or even 12 millimeters rope, static rope. Okay, light through batter without tension on the rope. Okay, twice works well. I'm gonna try it once again just to be sure. Okay, in the first attempt. So here, as you can see, it does really the job it's supposed to. So sorry for that rope. And now a simple piece of military grade webbing used by the Swiss Army. Just see, it goes really perfectly well now without tension. Okay, no worries about that. So the cutting test is perfect. This knife is really excellent for cutting ropes or what you can find and encounter when you are out in the mountains. Now, something I wanted to say is that with the chisel, it's really easy to just keep a hair popping sharpness on that knife, and field sharpening, as I've tested that just to see how it works. It it went really well and really easy to resharpen. Okay, now just testing the saw on the Titanium 2 on that piece of wood. This is beech wood. Sorry, here. Okay, went through without any problems. I must say that I've taken a bit of an oversized branch to test that. On a smaller branch it will perform just as well, and the reason why I've tried to take a branch like that was just to see the performances. I've tried that on another piece of wood, way thinner. It works like a charm, and it's especially well for you know, small chores, like if you don't want to go right through, you just cut to the middle and then just snap the wood, so you have a way to split wood. I've shown you that, I thought, in another video. Well, nothing else to say. The saw works just great for the cutting chores now. Okay, so to continue this test, as I've said, I'm gonna try several kind of gloves that you can find in several type of environments. Like here, those are MTech mechanics gloves. Those are more tactical gloves. They are really near and, you know, tight on the hands, like a kind of second skin. So I forgot to do something here. As you've seen, with the holes on the blade, you can grasp, I have here, you can really open easily the knife without any problem. If you need both hands, you have a lot of room to grasp the back of the blade. Now, with gloves like that, you can open it without any problem. Now, closing the knife either with the frame lock or with the button here, it's no problem. It's really easy. So here, as you see, no problems. For more outdoorsmen and mountaineers, you might find a pair of fleece and windstopper gloves. A bit less tight, those, I must say, and a bit thicker. So how is it going? Well, here, see, you can open it with no problems. Close it, same thing. You have a good fitting, so you can't really open it if you are in need of that. Up here, sorry, I must say something. These gloves are a bit bigger, too big for me, because usually I use another layer under, but here, see, no problems. You will be able to open that, or of course, if you can't open it with one hand, no problem. You have a good grip on the blade. The blade is big enough so that you can grasp it. Now, sometimes you may bring this kind of knife on a snowboarding trip with way bigger gloves that are not really easy to fold. So here, opening with one hand will be way more difficult. Opening with two hands is not a problem. Closing the blade either with the frame lock or with the button here, no problem at all. If you absolutely need to open it single-handed, you can take your knife upside down and you have a way to have your knife in the hand, open single-handed. Now, this is not what I would recommend if you are in the middle of a climb. Now you can open with the mouth if you really need to, so you will always find a way to open that knife. And of course, for the okay, as I've shown, locking mechanism is also working perfectly with thicker gloves. Now, the worst you can find with a small Swiss Army knife is those Swedish Army oven gloves, I can say, because of the inner layer and the outer one, but they are really warm and excellent for cold weather. So here you see the knife looks ridiculously small in the hands. Of course, you will not be able to grasp it the same way, so opening with two hands, no problems. Closing with the mechanism like so, no problems. Or with the Swiss Army, Swiss cross flag, no problems at all, sorry. With those gloves, you will have only if you want to open it single-handed. They are so thick you can't open it the same way as I've shown before, or with the mouth. It wouldn't be a problem. Now, if you have by any luck the knife around your neck on a lanyard like so, one option that could be really interesting in my opinion is that you can open the knife quite easily with one hand, and then take the knife if you need to use the knife in an emergency. You can open it with one hand. For example, if your other hand is grasping the rope or something like that, and you can't just get the knife out, you can cut the rope around your neck, or you'll find a solution. But it's really handy to have those huge holes here to open it really easily in the case of emergency. So this is an example. If you have it on a carabiner on your belt, it's exactly the same thing. You can open it if you give a good you pull it with a lot of energy. It will be a good solution to. Now, for those who spend a lot of time in the mountains, you know that sometimes your fingers go really numb and it's not easy to, you know, open the knife because you just have any strength anymore in the fingers. But with such a big blade, you can always find a way to open your knife. So it's really an interesting thing with this knife. Okay, now something I want to show you. Well, you will not see a lot, but this one has only a metal file, and of course and a saw, metal saw. You can saw something like wood, bone with that. It will be a bit longer, but if you need to make notches for traps or stuff like that, you will be able to do that. Now, this is more designed to sharpen a nice touring pick, you know, just doing the finishing touches on that, or you know, just sharpen, for example, your spikes, foot spikes. So this is really interesting to have when you are in a purely climbing environment and have or need something that will be able to work on steel. Now, last thing I want to show you is something that I like to have on all my knives is the ability to strike a spark out of a fire steel. So obviously the spine of those knives is not sharp enough to strike a spark. I don't want to use the blade This is something I never do because I don't want to damage the blade, but what I like to do on most of my knives is use the back of the saw blade to get, sorry, here a spark. So as you may see, this works perfectly to light the stove. If you do the same on the Ueli Steck Special edition, here you can also have your spark. Excellent for windy condition. You can also use the saw blade side. It will mark a lot more your fire steel, but if you need to have an even bigger shower of sparks, this is the way to go. So you have knives that cut well what they have to cut. One is more designed, in my opinion, for woodland, or you know, just going in the woods, having a small knife that doesn't weigh a lot. For the climbers, you know that having something that doesn't weigh a lot is really important, because you have carabiners and slings and stuff, rope, and everything weighs a lot. So having a small knife like that that can do multiple chores is really an excellent stuff. Now, when you spend most of your time over the tree line, having a metal wood saw is not really important, but having a way to just touch up your ice picks, your crampons, your snow ice screws or stuff like that is an excellent thing. Now you can also work on other pieces of steel, like if you have something to repair on your stove, you have something that is really useful. So I think I'm done with my test here. You have two knives that are, in my opinion, complementary. I really love both. You have another version that is called the Titanium one, that has only the blade, nothing else. I wanted to test the more complicated one, so I really love both of them. The uses are pretty different, but you know, they do what they are designed to. The sheath you have with are excellent. The finishing is awesome. You have the ability to open that knife with gloves quite easily, even with thick gloves, single-handed, two-handed, with the teeth if you really need to. So I think these are real knives for demanding climbers and outdoorsmen. Excellent backup knives as well. I'm really glad with them. So now about the price, they are about 100 bucks here in Switzerland, like 110 Swiss francs. It's about the same in dollars. They are tough, they are well built. So if you are interested, or if you have any question about those, just feel free to ask and I'll be glad to answer your questions. Now, thanks for watching, guys, and see you soon. Cheers.